Today, we are doing another key issue for forecast to update. I'm going to start over. Today, we are doing another key issue forecast. Oh my gosh, I can't say forecast. Today, we are
You'll
doing...
never be a weatherman.
I know. Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast talk all things comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today we are doing another key issue forecast. I'm Blade O'Neill.
I'm Ken Brown.
I'm Lance O'Neill. And 3 times the charm for Blade.
Third time is the charm. My gosh, I can't say forecast today. My goodness. But before we dive into it, just want to take a second to thank you all for listening. You know, without all of you guys, we wouldn't be here. And if you do enjoy the podcast, you know, share it on social media, tell your friends, and you know, that's the best way to share the love.
Can I give a shout out speaking of that too as well?
Oh yes,
Wayne?
Absolutely. Please.
Billy Goreski told me that he listens to the show. And we got to give him a huge shout out because this man writes letters to Marvel Comics and Image Comics all the time, telling him his opinion of what he's reading.
Get out.
He's shown me about 8 different letters that have been published.
Wow.
Where he gives a shout out to the Drawn to Comics peeps.
Oh, wow.
So awesome that he goes, "Hey Ken, I got another one published." And he always puts a tagline into all my peeps at Drawn to Comics.
Get out.
It's super, super cool. So I want to give a shout out to Billy because he's always shouting us out in a big way.
Well, Ken, then can we find out then what is the first appearance of Drawn to Comics then within a Marvel book based on these letters? Can we figure that out?
That's a good question because we've been in Immortal Hulk. I know he showed me an Immortal Hulk.
Okay.
Die, a Walking Dead. Let me see too. Gosh, dude.
All right. Next time you talk to him in the shop, if you can help us figure out what the first appearance of Drawn to Comics is, I want a copy of it. I'm gonna track it down in a back issue bin. I'm gonna track it down in your shop. I'm gonna figure it out. I want a first appearance of Drawn to Comics.
That'd be awesome. I know there was a time that Super World Presents. Do you know Ben Glendenning?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's an artist that is local here in Arizona, and he put me in one of the Super World Presents comics.
Oh yeah,
Jeff Golden wrote.
How neat.
Yeah, so I'm one of those like little guest characters inside of the book, which was kind of funny.
First appearance, Ken Brown.
Yeah, that's kind of I guess you could say my first appearance in comics at that time.
There you go. Oh, that's so funny. Mm-hmm. Yes, I would love to figure out what the first appearance of Drawn to Comics is in a comic book. I think that's a really neat concept.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, and thanks for listening, Billy. Appreciate the support and everything. That's awesome.
And I hope this guy can start writing comics. I mean, because I was telling him inside the store, a lot of famous comic writers got their start writing letters to the letters pages of their favorite comics. And for them to choose your letters so many times, that means they like your stuff. Yeah. So anytime you submit something, I would consider it sending it to wherever you write the letters, because if anything, just ask their opinion. Hey, how do I break into comics? Because they obviously know who you are by now.
Yeah. If
they keep on publishing your letters on such a regular basis, especially Robert Kirkman at Image and Skybound books. I mean, he showed me the most out of the Oblivion Song, Walking Dead, Die, and all the Kirkman books. He just loves the Kirkman stuff. And so
yeah,
that would be awesome because Kirkman's a writer himself, and just say, hey, you know, I love your stuff. Obviously, I write over and over and over letters, and you guys must like what I'm writing. What words of recommendations do you have for me to break in?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And especially being involved with somebody like Robert Kirkman and Skybound Entertainment. Like, I believe Skybound does creator-owned stuff as well, kind of like Image, right? That kind of branched off from there, right?
Yeah, he's one of the partners at Image now, and all Image stuff is creator-owned product.
Yeah. I was just wondering if, because Skybound kind of is an offshoot, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that was creator-owned as well.
Yes.
And speaking of Robert Kirkman, before we go on the topic, I just want to touch on they're finally doing an Invincible animated series. Like after all of these years, if you guys followed us for any period of time, Ken and I actually interviewed Robert Kirkman years and years back during season 1 of the Walking Dead. Yeah, I mean it's cool that, because we asked him about if we were going to get an Invincible movie. I mean, this is different, but I mean, hey, I mean, we'll take what we can get at this point, right?
If anything, that's step one. If it does well, that they're the Marvel with their track record, start off the animation, see how it does, and test market the stories with the audience. And if it does well, let's put it into the movies.
Yeah, and Walking Dead veteran, I believe I'm going to try to say his name right, Stephen Yeun, I believe, who played Glenn on The Walking Dead, will be playing the title character. So
that's cool.
So that's it's going to be fun, And Mark, I know Mark Hamill is a part of the cast. So we'll see what happens. Definitely be something we'll be talking about on a future episode.
Yes.
So it's been several months since we've talked about our key issue forecast, so we wanted to do a little follow-up. There has been a bit of shift in things, a bit of a pause in things, and things are playing out a little differently than maybe we anticipated. Especially with this Fortnite thing and Thor, and like the current Thor series is so popular. There's a Fortnite crossover, and I know we've talked about this already, but I mean Ken can probably talk a little more to it. Like, Thor is hotter right now than he's been in a very long time. Isn't that right?
Dude, it's insane. I have not seen Thor this hot in any time of us being open. I mean, J. Michael Straczynski's Thor with Oliver Coipel doing the artwork on it was pretty well received, because we had Silver Surfer meeting Thor, and a couple crossover stories there. Then Asgard was in Oklahoma, if I remember correctly. And it was a really fun story. Loki was turned into a kid for a while too during, I think, that storyline. And good stuff during the Straczynski run, but nothing like what we're seeing with Donny Cates here. I mean, Jason Aaron had a really good run on Thor too, and it was selling, but nothing towards what Donny Cates is doing right now with this Black Winter story. I mean, this Black Winter story was like multiple printings. I mean, the Thor during the Jason Aaron run never really hit second or third printings that often, and Thor 1 through 5, it's all gone at least 3 printings, and it's just insane. I mean, some of them have gone as much as 5th printings, and it's not a Harry Potter book. It's getting that many printings, it feels like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's insane. Yeah, and comics right now are just, I don't know if it's just the scarcity of trying to get access to comics right now because of the pandemic. It closed down so many stores for that about 2 to 3 month period. And comic shops were not essential for a good period of time. And I think we're probably getting a large number of comic shops reopening back up now. But during that time frame, it was just internet access for a lot of collectors to try to get the comics they wanted. I think that really, really had an impact in the marketplace.
That's fair. I mean, and one of the big one of the big issues within there would be the first appearance of Black Winter, right?
Yes. Yeah, number 2 is the first cameo, and number 5 they consider the first full Black Winter, and number 6 is when the Black Winter gets defeated by Thor.
Okay.
And I'm kind of surprised it's a setup story more than anything. After you got to number 6, spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't read it yet. If you don't want me to talk anymore, I won't. But number 6 just sets up the future in a major way because of Thor defeating Black Winter.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty cool reveal they show at the end of number 6 of what Thor has done by defeating the Black Winter, and seeing that little piece of future that is coming our way looks pretty detrimental to the universe.
Well, I'm excited to read it now.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm trying really hard not to spoil it for you, Lance.
You're fine.
Well, I mean, if it got resolved that quickly, I mean, you're almost wondering, how is this going to impact the MCU going forward? And if it does, these books are going to become even hotter. So, I mean, like these books are hot right now, but it might be worth it, because if there is any tie-in to like Thor: Love and Thunder or anything, like they're just going to continue to be valuable books. And if Thor gets the power cosmic, I mean, forget it.
There is a lot of spec that happened this week after Thor #6 or the past 2 weeks on Infinity #4 and Avengers #10 from the Hickman run of Avengers, because it is the first appearance of Thane in those stories. And there is a lot of spec of what happened at the end of Thor #6 is going to heavily involve Thane, not Thanos, at the big reveal at the end of #6.
So I don't know. I feel like that's kind of. I mean, that's fine. But I mean, I haven't read it, but I just feel like I don't know. You're gonna go with like we're clearly done with the whole Thanos thing now, right? Like we did the movies. You're doing them in the comics, and then the next like big thing you're gonna do is just like Thane. Like I feel like it's just like so like okay, like it's just another Thanos. You know what I mean? It's just. I don't know.
It's like you can't really beat the Thanos horse too hard because it's gonna, be more than a dead horse really quickly.
Although, don't get me wrong, like when they did,
Cosmic Ghost Rider.
No, I was going to talk about when they had that person going around killing people, and you didn't know who it was, and it ended up being Gamora, and she had the Infinity Gauntlet. And she was going crazy, and like it was like one of the best like reads I've ever.
That Guardians of the Galaxy recently?
It was. I'm not sure. I don't remember the run it was, but I remember it was like for like 5 issues, nobody knew who it was, and they were going around and they like killed Thanos, and then they were killing other people, and everyone's like, "Who is this person that's just going around murdering everybody?"
Yes.
And it ended up being her, but she had. But it was Thanos was like in her mind, like whispering all these things to her. She was going crazy, and it was just like it was such a good book.
Yes, dude. She had like an Infinity logo, and she was wearing a cloak and a mask.
Yeah.
Right. I can't remember what her temporary name was when they had that character. Yeah. And it was revealed to be her at the end, and it was didn't she kill Thanos again at the end of that story? Right.
Something I don't remember.
Because then Donny Cates did a short Guardians of the Galaxy series afterwards, where the whole scare was who's going to become the new Thanos, right? Was that the follow-up story on that?
Yes, I think so. And there was a whole thing with multiverses. There was like they ended up going to like a multiverse where like Loki was like Thor because he was and Thor was like Loki. It was really weird. Like Loki had all the Infinity Stones and was holding Mjolnir, and Thor was like a trickster. It was like I don't know. But
yeah, like Spider-Man got merged with Moon Knight, Wolverine got or X-23 got merged with Doctor Strange, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, it was some weird stuff. It was cool. It was fun. It was like fun to read.
Yes.
But the whole Thanos thing, like how many times are you gonna beat the same horse? Like do Kang or something, or move on.
I feel Kang would be brilliant to tie in after all this time travel. Where Kane saw them time traveling through the time stream and says, oh, there's a dimension, a timeline that I can conquer easily. Because look how easily Thanos almost did it, type of thing. His ego just step in and say like that, okay, I see where Thanos made his mistakes. Now it's my turn to come in and take over the universe here or whatever type of storytelling they want to do with it.
Or you can also see like, wait a second, this Tony Stark guy is the key to them being able to stop Thanos, and now he's gone. So this will be very easy, because they have no way to stop a time traveler.
Absolutely. The arrogance that Kane could have could be unchartable about how cool he could cause chaos inside of the Marvel Universe.
Until they bring Reed Richards and he'll do the same thing, I guess, right?
Basically.
And the Maker becomes the bad guy of the whole story, Reed Richards.
What a twist. And then, I don't know, it's like Kang is still kind of a mystery as to who he is. And I wonder if they're going to kind of fill in those blanks at all, because there was a whole thing with like, he's a descendant of Reed Richards. He's related to Dr. Doom. He's not. He's neither. He's both. Like I don't think there was really anything definitive as far as like where they landed on that. And in one of the recent issues, is it Doom who has a series? Is it a Dr. Doom ongoing?
Yeah.
He meets up with Kang, and he straight up asks him about it, which I thought was interesting. So. I wonder if they're going to fill in the blanks at all or leave it a mystery. Like, I almost don't want them to. Like it's more fun to speculate. But I mean, look what they just did with Galactus in the Thor thing, right? Like Galactus's I don't know if we've brought this up before, but if you don't know Galactus's origin story, look it up. Super confusing. Whole thing with like end of the universe, he turns into an egg and then rebirth. And like I can't even explain it. Can't even explain it. But now this filled in the blanks, if I understand correctly, right? It was Black Winter that was behind the destruction of his reality, right?
Yeah, and then he ended up escaping into this one.
Mm-hmm. So now it kind of makes a little more sense, having this Black Winter element, because it was really confusing before. So I wonder if they can fill in the blanks with Kang here and make it a little more tied in to the rest of the Marvel universe, somehow related to Doom or Reed Richards or both. I mean, who's say down the line, maybe they have great grandkids, that get together or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like in the Young Avengers, wasn't Iron Lad the son of Kane, Lance? In the original Young Avengers run?
I'm not 100% sure. He looked just like him. I know that for sure.
Because I remember there was a certain point in Young Avengers where Iron Lad revealed he was actually a Kane. Whether it was like the original or I think a descendant, like a son of Kane or a grandson of Kane that was time traveling to try to warn the past about what his grandfather or so on and so forth was going to do and try to stop it. So it was almost like
he is an adolescent version of Kang the Conqueror.
He was an adolescent version. Okay, cool. So Marie had something to do with being some form of timeline of Kang.
He's named after his father, Reed Richards.
Oh, really?
What?
So they're saying Kane's father was Reed Richards?
That's what it is. Well, Iron Lad is the son of Reed Richards.
Wow, Iron Lad's the son of Reed Richards. Now, would that make it's another son besides Franklin, right?
Yeah, it says Nathaniel Richards.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I was not completely aware of that aspect of it.
I didn't either. I honestly didn't really read too much of it because I just saw his character and
But he's Kang. You're saying he's Kang and also the son of Reed Richards?
That's what it says.
But that must be a particular timeline, though.
Well, yes, has to be the whatever, because the Young Avengers, they're not a 616, right, universe? I don't think.
They came back to the 616 universe, but I'm not sure which universe they may be originally. Because the Young Avengers, like the majority of them are like 616, and then Kane came from the future. This Iron Lad character, nobody knew he was Kane until he revealed he was Kang finally.
Yeah, I think there's more to it though than just this. Like that might have been part of that particular story, but I want to say there's more to it, or a possible retcon or a lie somewhere. You know what I mean?
And any diehard Young Avenger fans out there listening, share with us what exactly is going on here, because I just bit and piece read the first 12 issues of Young Avengers, and I remember that being like a pretty big reveal in that first series of, what? Iron Lad's Kane. How crazy is that?
Yep.
Well,
that Hulkling was actually part Kree, part Skrull. It was another big reveal during that whole thing too, as well, which was kind of a cool reveal during the Young Avengers. So what Marvel's doing right now, these Young Avengers characters have become like a major part of what's happening in the Marvel Universe, especially after Empire, because Wiccan and Hulkling just got married inside of Empire too, as well, which was a pretty major big deal that spun out of the original Young Avengers series. That's been, inside the Marvel Universe since, I think, 2004, 2005. But Young Avengers comics are getting super hot right now, which is pretty crazy.
I just read a little snippet of the whole Iron Lad thing, if you want me to enlighten.
That'd be awesome.
About it. So I guess they have clarified that it is Nathaniel Richards, but whenever we're talking about other Kangs that we've seen in the past, they're always from other universe, right? He's from the future. So like to say that it's like the same one from the 616, chances are whatever Kang it is, he's coming from a different universe, what I mean? Or a different timeline.
And what was that description from?
It's from Wikipedia.
Gotcha.
So it's not 100% reliable, but it sounds like I could see that happening.
Yes.
Weird. Okay. I mean, we'll have to investigate further, but yeah, we'll see if there's more to it.
I have a bunch of first appearance of Kang. That's a good comic to hop on.
I missed. I think I missed out on that. I think it might be too late for something like that. Maybe not. It might.
It might be too late just because of the comics that it is now.
It's an Avengers number 6, correct?
I think it's Avengers number 8.
Number 8. Okay, my apologies.
But that's his first appearance, I think, as Kang is that one. But his first appearance as Rama Tut is Fantastic Four number 19.
Oh wow!
I was gonna say I thought it was a Fantastic Four book, but that's right.
Forgot because on the front of the comic, they're in like the pyramid, and he's standing there like a pharaoh.
Yep. So, another book that I don't remember if we brought it up last time or not, but I'm still going to bring it up again because it's still down there. Now, it really depends on your specific tastes here on what you believe is the first appearance. Because if you look it up on eBay, people sell both of these issues as the first appearance of Witchblade, and that's Cyblade She #1, right?
Yes.
And also Witchblade #1. So really, it's to your preferred tastes here. I mean, Ken, you know what I'm talking about. What do you think? What are your thoughts on those two?
Like Cyblade She predates Witchblade #1.
Yeah.
But I see Witchblade #1 being the more important book because
it's the more expensive book right now.
Secret Wars #8 versus Spider-Man 252 type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
The Witchblade #1 is the start of her storytelling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's Secret Wars #8, in my opinion, could be or should be the true most valuable first black suit appearance of the symbiote Spider-Man, me being a symbiote Spider-Man fan.
Absolutely.
And Spider-Man 252 predates Secret Wars #8 by 8 to 9 months because it came out the same month as Secret Wars #1, and they wanted you to read the story to see what happened. But 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of Secret Wars takes place right before Spider-Man #252.
Interesting.
So you actually have 5 black symbiote Spider-Man costume appearances before 252 Spider-Man storytelling actually takes place.
Interesting.
You know, I didn't read. Obviously, when I'm reading both of those stories, I didn't read it when it was happening. Right, I've read it after the fact. So hearing you say that makes that comic that much more interesting because I remember reading it because that was when him and Black Cat were like super like into it, right? Their relationship was building, and she was always like, I wonder what happened. Like, how do you get this? There were so many questioning. Like, I don't really understand what's going on. So when you're reading that as a reader, you don't even know either because those comics weren't even out yet.
Yes.
So that's kind of awesome. I've never even thought about that.
Yeah, and so that's kind of like I think that's the greatest way to read the Black Suit Saga is you read Secret Wars 1 through 12 first, and then read 252 going forward, and Peter Parker 90, the Marvel Team Up 141 in that order, because then the universe starts unfolding after that. And it's that's what's the most bothersome thing about the symbiote Spider-Man saga for me is issue 258, which was a November cover date of Spider-Man. He finds out the suit's alive and he ditches the suit. That next month, Secret Wars #8 came out with a December cover date. And if you read the regular Spider-Man books, if you were just reading Secret Wars, there would be no black and white suit inside a Spider-Man book during those months. Which to me was like that fans overreacting way too quickly, judging that they didn't like that black suit because it wasn't Spider-Man in their opinion. But it kind of, to me, like kind of ruined an era of fans writing letters about how much they did not want Spider-Man changing costumes. And if it would have just kind of unfolded naturally, it would have been one of the most brilliant eras in Spider-Man history. But as I said, to editors that had to, step in and listen to what the the readership was wanting at that time.
Which is kind of crazy because I feel like looking back at it now, when like just regular fans or big Spider-Man fans, whenever they talk about what's your favorite suit, I feel like everyone always loves the black suit.
Yes. And that's what's like even more ironic. I'm gonna like dig even deeper into this for you guys too. Secret Wars number 12 was an April cover date. And Spider-Man 263, they put Spider-Man in that cloth suit that Black Cat made for him because the storytelling was she liked the suit so much that she wanted Spider-Man to wear the black and white suit, where regardless it was the symbiote or the cloth one. So they divided up the books. Like Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man was always black and white suit. Spectacular Spider-Man was red and blue suit, and Web of Spider-Man was alternating depending on what the story called for. And so I thought that was kind of ironic that the fans did get their say in the big scheme of things. It's like, let's try to keep everybody happy, until eventually they created Venom, and that was the end of that type of storytelling.
Yeah.
So very interesting. Like that Black Cat helped us get more black suit, which was really cool.
Well, that's because Black Cat's the best.
Absolutely. Best girlfriend Spider-Man ever had. Mary Jane, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
With all due respect, you're not the Black Cat.
Yeah, no, and we talked about that in our Valentine's Day episode. So you can go back and listen to that one from last February there. And speaking of Black Cat, that first appearance of Black Cat has climbed. So that's probably not a good investment right now. Or is there more room? What do you guys think?
I mean, I think when it comes to comics increasing in price, it's always there. To me, there's always going to be room up until the announcement, right, of the comic, like the movie of whatever the character is.
Yeah.
And right now, all we have is speculation. I think the second they say 100% Black Cat, whatever is casted as Felicity Jones or whoever it was they casted before, I think then it will go up. I don't know. I don't think it will keep going up. But I will say, I think, and I might be a little biased, so you guys can shoot me down. But I think she's one of those characters that when they put her in a film, she will become insanely popular with everybody today. I don't know. To me, the way her attitude, her like how she carries herself, just the character she is, I think she would be like such a good, like, I don't want to say role model, but a good,
because she's a thief.
But like she's like cool, but like she's not a bad guy, but she's a good guy, and like people like that's like so big today, where it's like everyone loves like Loki,
like
everyone loves Deadpool, right? Yeah. She's kind of like that same thing, but for Spider-Man. So I feel like she has a market. She has a big market that could be tapped.
She's the Catwoman of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
I think like the greatest comparison is she's more or less like the Catwoman, but she's not totally attached to Spider-Man since, do you know what I mean? Like that. Well, now that the Mary Jane thing is out of the picture, she can get that connected again to Spider-Man, which is great. But like kind of like with I don't think they'll ever do as far as like Catwoman marrying Batman type of thing with Spider-Man and Black Cat.
Yeah.
I kind of like them as more or less their the angle of like Black Cat is someone that will always be a relationship for Spider-Man. But I don't know if they'll ever take that marriage plunge the same way Catwoman and Batman did.
Mm-hmm.
But her personality is so likable, it just needs exposure. Do you know what I mean? It's like that she's that perfect mix of dancing the fence of whether she's a good guy or a bad guy, and she gets away with it perfectly. Where you'll always kind of believe like, hey, if she wants to be good, you'll like her as a good guy. If she's a bad guy, she's still likable as a bad guy too, as well.
And I think you see that also with like even with Harlequin. I know they're a little different characters, but the whole good guy, bad guy thing, like it's Suicide Squad. So you have her being like on the good guy side, but she's not really a good guy. I think that whole dynamic is such a popular thing, and you have her character and everything, or her traits. I think it's just a home run for whoever does it, Sony or Marvel.
And
I do see, as you said too, like the room for it to grow is like exponential on Black Cat too, because we've seen it happen with so many other characters that, like for instance, Miss Marvel right now, Kamala Khan. I mean, her first appearance on a cover is an $800 comic right now,
which is ridiculous.
I sold that in a second.
Yeah, like 25 years newer book. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's just the fact of like that Black Cat hasn't had that magnifying glass on her to reveal about how likable she is as a character. I mean, same thing's already happened with Gwen, Spider-Gwen. Do you know what I mean? Like, since she had exposure in that Edge of Spider-Verse cartoon, her first appearance of Edge of Spider-Verse #2 is now worth more than her first appearance. No, it's not worth more than her first appearance. It's worth more than her death in Amazing Spider-Man #121. And Spider-Man 121 is one of the most revered comics in Spider-Man storytell, the death of Gwen Stacy. But since they brought in a new Gwen Stacy from another universe, everybody's like cool with, okay, that's the death of Gwen Stacy, but this Gwen Stacy is the Gwen Stacy that's going to be here forever. And it's kind of crazy. I thought I would never ever see like the possibility of the Spider-Verse 2 being worth more than the first appearance of the real Gwen Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man #38 in near mint condition. But they're starting to approach each other, which is to me absolutely insane.
That is insane.
A 25 to 30 year window difference between them too.
And I think that's a great case for Black Cat, really, potentially climbing in value because she has so much history within the Spider-Man books, and with her own, I know she's had like a mini series. She's currently got an ongoing series, and just all of her appearances across the Marvel books. That history alone, I think will mean a lot. And she's so like, I mean, Spider-Gwen's a good guy, but like unlike Harley Quinn, to me, like Black Cat is more of a good guy than she is a bad guy. I mean, like she may have started out as a cat burglar, but like to me now she's more of a good guy now. At least I think so. I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
It's like that she's been dancing the fence, Lance, right?
Lance, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I agree. I think she just, like Ken says, she just dances the fence. I don't think... I mean, it's just hard to say, like, because she still does crimes. Like, she steals from people. Like, there might not necessarily be... Like, you might not care who she's stealing from, but at the end of the day, she's... You know what I mean? Like, they might still be bad people, but it's still stealing,
Yeah, absolutely. It's like
but one thing I will say about the Kamala Khan thing is, like her first appearance, and then they had her second printing of her comic, which had her on the comic, and they made that one the more expensive comic for whatever reason on that issue.
Yes.
That one was $800, but there's also an Amanda Connor variant of that comic, which is a $2,000 comic. But what was weird to me, because I think that one's like a 1 in
25 or something like that
variant, but there's also a 1 in 20 variant that has Thor on the cover for whatever reason. I don't know if he was part of that.
Maybe it was like a Thor month.
Yeah, probably Thor movie theme month or something like that.
Yeah, but it's worth nothing near the second print or the number ones, which kind of like doesn't make sense to me. Like why wouldn't that? It's a variant, but like people like just for some reason aren't recognizing it. And I think if anyone sees that and wants to buy it, I think eventually people will catch on, because it's kind of weird that there's a variant of that comic. I mean, her first appearance. It's not going for that much.
The only thing against that is that she's not on the cover. That's the only reason why those variants aren't going for so much more, because there is value to a first cover appearance.
But she's not. But on the Amanda Connor variant, she's not on the cover. It's just Captain Marvel.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right? I see what you're saying. That's interesting. Then
it's very similar to the Iron Man #7, I think, or Iron Man #9 during the Riri Williams reveal, like where they have that Apocalypse cover that people say, oh, that's the first that's the cover to get of all the different covers for Iron Man #9, because it's the first Riri Williams, but it's the variant for that issue. And since Iron Man 9 had no other incentive covers, people are paying like $200 to $300 for that cover of Iron Man of the Riri Williams first appearances.
Because is she on it?
No, it's a reimagination of an Iron Man armor in the Age of Apocalypse. And
Oh,
you guys can look it up if you like. It's just the most absurd to me. Like, wow, okay, it was an open order, but it was one of those. Oh, if you order this many copies more than you did of a previous month, then you qualify to order as many as you want of those apocalypse theme variants.
weird.
And I think maybe people think like, oh, that one's just so much lower print run. It's not even a ratio variant that people pay like just an astronomical stupid amount for it. See, like here is a 9.8. Someone's asking $3,000 for, which is to me.
It's Iron Man number 9
Yes.
with like a blue armor.
Yes, that is
this.
it.
This is like this is so underwhelming
because she's got her own armor that she made on the main cover of Iron Man, and that's the armor that was the first armor. Kind of like Tales spent $39 for her. So I would say that Iron Man number 9 is a much more book because that's the first armor she ever made on the cover of the book.
Huh.
And that one only goes for like $80, which
Yeah.
is, do you know what I mean? Like a high end price on that.
Yeah,
and the other one, 280, 455, 350. Do you know what I mean? 356. I'm looking at all the different closed listings right now. 710, 213.50. I mean, 234.50. And some of these are graded, some of these are not graded. So such a huge fluctuation in price value. But it's just, to me, like absolutely insane. It's just because people decided that's the hot version of that book.
Weird. Oh, we'll see if that maintains at all. Another book I wanted to bring up, and I am absolutely shocked. I just looked it up on eBay at the current going rate. And that's all the Court of Owls stuff from the New 52. The first appearance of Court of Owls, the Batman number 1 from the Capullo Snyder era. First appearance of Talon in Batman number 2. And I don't know if it's because of Gotham, they did the Court of Owls, and like if you like Gotham, great, but I mean, like, to me it was whatever. And like, did that ruin the Court of Owls for the fan base? Because like it's about to be in a video game, and there's rumors it's going to be in this Robert Pattinson Batman movie. So is this the time to invest in that again?
I would say so. I mean, as I said too, it's Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Is that era of Batman, the Court of Owls, was the most significant brand new idea for the Batman universe in the past 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, can you think of anything that was that impactful to the Batman universe that was created as something fresh, unthought of inside of the Batman storytell? Probably in all 80 years since they first started Batman. You know what I mean? And all the different rogues galleries they introduced. I mean, they haven't had a good rogues gallery that was bigger than Batman's detective work itself ever. I mean, this trumps Riddler. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing that Batman doesn't figure out, and he researched everything about that nursery rhyme he heard as a kid about the Court of Owls. He couldn't find anything.
Yep.
And that's the only thing that is outthought Batman until they wanted to reveal themselves as Batman was Bruce Wayne was getting to be too much of a threat for their politics. And go ahead.
Batman has one of the strongest rogue galleries in comics, so just to be able to create something that just fits in and works and just becomes, such a heavy hitter, within that. I mean, just in recent history, I'd say maybe aside from Hush, what has there been?
And I love Hush.
Yeah,
dude. Hush. I mean, I think your 3 biggest significant storytells of like newer characters in the past 40 years, I would say have to be Bane of Breaking the Bat, Hush, and the Court of Owls.
Yeah. Wow.
And I would say Cataclysm and No Man's Land is huge, but those are all villains that were already there.
Yeah.
These are like 3 major new villains that changed the landscape of Batman in a major way, and I still think they dropped the ball on Hush as a character that can be so much more useful as a tormentor to Gotham and Batman.
Oh yeah.
But it's just that for whatever reason, Jeff Loeb and Paul Dini are the the great hush writers, and other people are afraid to touch on them.
Yeah, and that's a real shame. But I mean, it's been a little bit since I looked at it, but I mean, at least that Batman #1, like that was about $150 book, and now it's really affordable. I've got some recent listings pulled up here. And where did they go? Oh, here it is. So Batman New 52 1 through 11 plus the annual #1. So I mean, this is the first Court of Owls, first cameo Court of Owls, first appearance of Talon. That's all right in there in 1 through 11. That whole lot sold for $135.
That's awesome.
The other day. Like, I mean, you couldn't get #1 for that price recently. Another #1s by itself sold for $37. And that was today. We're recording this on Sunday. That was yesterday. Yesterday, one sold for $37. This was a $150 book not too long ago. So I don't know what happened. And this is near mint too, we're talking. So jump back on it. The only thing that was worth a little more, there was a variant cover for #1 by, oh my gosh, what's his name? Thank you, Ethan Van Sciver. That was worth a little more. That was like at least a $200 book, I think. My wife has a copy of that signed by Ethan too, by the way, which is pretty cool. But
another
I think
thing too, on the Batman #1s, Batman #1 went 5 printings as well.
Yeah, so
there's
be careful.
People that try to complete the whole set of printings as well.
Yeah.
And some of those printings are going to become more valuable than others. Like the 4th and 5th printing, I've seen sometimes double the price of the first printing.
Really?
It's just because I think the 5th printing's got like a gray background cover, and the 4th printing's got like a blue background cover.
I have the red one.
Really cool. Yeah, that's the 2nd printing, if I remember correctly. And it's they're really cool color schemes, because 2nd printings, all the DC 2nd printings at that time were red covers.
Okay.
With the detail they went on it, they transitioned the background color of the cover in the background, which is really kind of cool.
Interesting.
Staying on the whole video game trend.
Okay.
So I know we talked about Kamala Khan, and she's in the new Avengers game, but that's not who I care about, because whatever. So the first new character that in the Marvel Avengers game that they are adding, they already announced who's going to be coming out soon, I believe, within I think a few days, that they're adding to the category for you to play is going to be Kate Bishop.
Oh, nice.
So her first appearance is in Young Avengers #1.
Yes.
Okay. Yep, there it is.
And then here it is. And I just bought this actually a month ago. It was selling for like $30-$40, but right now it's at like $100 to $200.
I'm saying it jumped like crazy. Remember, I was just mentioning Young Avengers books are fire right now.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of like 9.8s for like $400. But there are some that looks like that are like kind of out there, like you could probably snag for like maybe $70, $100. But I do think that one is going to be a big issue. And on top of it, it's not just the first appearance of Kate Bishop; it's the first appearance of Patriot, Iron Lad, and Hulkling. So there's multiple people that could make that issue go way up. But I think with her, once she gets into, I think we all think, right, she's going to be in the MCU coming soon.
Kate Bishop?
Yeah.
She is. I mean, like if I'm not mistaken, they cast her in the Hawkeye Disney Plus show.
Right. And now she's in the video game. So they're obviously pushing that. So I think there's still room on that comic, to be honest. Like some characters do get to that like 100 mark where like that's kind of where they stay at. But I could see her being a bigger than that. So, I would say that that's something to definitely look at. I don't know. What do you guys think?
The Young Avengers is kind of, it sounds weird saying this, but it's to me the modern day giant size X-Men. Is like these characters are the future of the Avengers. And you're already starting to see like the perfect example is just that finished Empire. I mean, they had Hulkling be the center of a storyline, and he originally started in that Young Avengers number. And so there is he's got a new name now. He's not even I apologize. But he's got a new transition name from over the years. Same thing with like Amadeus Cho. He's no longer the immortal or the not the not the immortal Hulk. What do they call the indestructible Hulk? What was the name of?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
He was the totally awesome Hulk, right?
Yeah.
And doesn't he have like a new name now too as well? Like they just renamed. I want to say it's not Statrix, that's somebody else. Mm-hmm. What is the Hulk's like Amadeus Cho's new name?
Yeah.
And I'm feeling stupid for not knowing this off the top of my head, but they just switched it last year when he was in the Champions.
Yeah,
it's when Ironheart he became Brawn because Riri changed from being Iron Man to Ironheart, changed from being Hulk to Brawn, so they had their own identity.
Yeah.
And these young Avengers started that era of next generation Marvel superheroes. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like in DC they started with the Teen Titans. With Marvel they started it with the Young Avengers. Do you know? It's like New Mutants obviously for the X, but the Young Avengers was that first generation of here's the future of your Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think it's kind of like the Giant Size X-Men of this era, because Giant Size X-Men started that for the X-Men moving forward. And this is what Young Avengers is doing for the Avengers moving forward inside of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree.
And I think Kate Bishop could be like more interesting than like Hawkeye. I mean, Hawkeye's cool for what he is, but I came across a comic panel the other day on social media, and Deadpool got like stabbed in the heart or something, and he had this knife in him, and he was with Kate Bishop I believe it was Kate Bishop. I mean, somebody go ahead and tell me I'm wrong. And she's like, oh my gosh, like, cause he had this knife, and it's like, you gotta pull it out for me. He's like, no, I can't do that. And anyway, he like talks her into pulling it out, and Deadpool just starts messing with her, and he like screams, and he was just messing with her, and she got mad, so she just stabs him again.
So awesome.
I thought it was pretty funny. Awesome. Last one I think we wanted to touch on tonight, and this was one of Ken's comics, and I'm sure we've talked about it several times already, but we're gonna talk about it again, and that is First Appearance Alpha Flight.
Yes, X-Men 120, and if you want to dig farther deeper, the X-Men 9, which was the first appearance of Weapon Alpha when they did the famous Repo Man story, which is what the X-Men animated series almost took it page for page and made it into a cartoon inside the X-Men animated series back in the 90s. So this book's got a ton of history, and if all these rumors about Alpha Flight are actually going to be an Alpha Flight group, which I'm starting to see a lot of buzz on the books coming within the past 2 to 3 months. And so someone's got some kind of birdie telling them that these Alpha Flight books are going to be your next big target books. And X-Men 109, 120 have taken a huge significant attention, and Alpha Flight number 1, which has always been $1 for about 35 years until the past 6 months to a year, where people are starting to say like that, oh, these Alpha Flight characters might be something that is the unfound gold in the Marvel Universe. And the storytells on those books were unbelievable back in the 1980s. To me, they were, John Byrne was telling stories that were so much more cerebral than a lot of other stuff going at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Claremont, obviously, you can also argue is on that same level. But Chris Claremont's X-Men and John Byrne's Flight and Fantastic Four more or less led the way in progressive storytelling back in the 1980s.
And you can't tell me like this isn't what's next for the Marvel Universe. I mean, like we've had 10, 12 years or whatever of the Avengers, and now is the time for the mutants and Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom and cosmic stuff. We've got a lot of cosmic stuff coming. We see that with Eternals, right? And who knows what's happening with Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yes, Eternals. That's a book too. It's like right now there's a downturn
really
of the Kirby run. I mean, I'm starting to see it drop a little bit, and I don't know if it's because there's so much other news going out there that Eternals is taking a little bit of a dip because the movie hasn't actually hit theaters yet. But I've seen Eternals take a slight drop, and Marvel's got big plans for the comic right now. And as soon as that comic launches, if it's anywhere near as good as what they're promoting in this Marvel previews, they have 40 different available covers for us to order as a comic shop. Not like exclusive, but Marvel Preview solicited 40 different variants that are done by, I think, 32 different artists for Eternals #1. I've never seen anything like that.
Wow.
In Marvel solicits that are not comic shops trying to make their own covers, but Marvel themselves put a list inside Marvel Previews this month for us to order 40 different cover possibilities. Some are 1 in 500.
Wow.
But there's like a
500. Wow.
Yeah, and so they're expecting they're doing something big in Eternals. Once again, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. My guess it's something that's setting the plot for the movie when the movie launches. And they've been holding this story off. So whatever happens in the movie makes more sense. But to have Kieran Gillen, if I remember correctly, is the writer on it. And Assad Ribbick's doing the art on it. And Assad Ribbick he worked on Secret Wars back in the day with Hickman, the Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. Yeah. He worked on Thor with Jason Aaron for a while. He's a pretty high-end artist too. And for Marvel to be putting 40 different covers available for fans across the world to order from each of their from their comic shop, it's pretty intense. So I would kind of, if you see those Eternal #1s in very fine condition for like $40-50, they're definitely a good investment because it's Kirby, it's the movie coming up, it's Marvel's got big plans for the Eternals. Obviously, the movie's been announced for years. It's going to come out. It's Angelina Jolie, but there's something going to be happening at Donny Cates level Thor in Eternals for Marvel to be putting that much behind what's happening inside.
It's got to be something with the Celestials
comic series coming up.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the Celestials because Eternals #2 is the first appearance of Celestials.
Yep.
And I have probably like 15 #2s and only have like 2 #1s. So I really hope Celestials are.
So yeah, watch those Eternal back issues because, Neil Gaiman wrote Eternals too as well. So who knows? Those are other things that are like dollar bin books. Neil Gaiman and John Romita Jr. Eternals, nobody gives a crap about. But what if they're following up on what Neil Gaiman wrote, the guy that's getting his Sandman TV series made now?
Yeah.
That there's a lot of Eternals merchandise that can be assembled for less than $100 right now.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very safe investment, especially on that Neil Gaiman, John Romita Jr. stuff that is relatively affordable at this time being. And Neil Gaiman is one of the comic writing gods to a lot of fans too.
Yeah, and also to jump back to what you were saying, Blade, about we're probably leaving the Avengers. You're going to do something cosmic, and then the X-Men obviously are your next big thing. And if you're going to do an X-Men thing, what are you going to do? You're going to do they're fighting Magneto. You're going to do Apocalypse. Well, we already just did all this. But what's the one thing they haven't done that's kind of big, and if it first appears to be awesome? And I'm not just saying it because I have a bunch of them. It would be
Sinister.
Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
X-Men 221. Like that has to be something, and it's nothing right now. Like you get one for like $10-15.
It's absurd. Like that's the most undervalued X-Men villain I think I've ever seen. That one?
What a catalyst! Like how much has he affected in the X-Men's universe?
Well, the Summers brothers came from Mr. Sinister's orphanage,
right?
I mean, that's something you could go right there for you, right? And Mr. Sinister's orphanage could be where Professor X goes to get Scott Summers, and Alex gets left behind, because he was in hiding. Talking about what could have been a great New Mutants plot. You know what I mean? What if that, they were doing it with the orphanage rather than they did with their mutants and all these. I didn't see the movie, so I said too, I can only speculate on what actually happened there, but that would have been a great trigger for Mr. Sinister right there to go forward for the Fox transition to Disney.
Yep. And, you can have him playing all these things in the background. He can, once he's no longer the villain, you have him set up Apocalypse you know, because they've teamed up. You know, you have them. I mean, I thought there was a story where it turned out like he was like pulling strings behind Weapon X. Wasn't that the case for a while, or did they retcon that? I thought there ended up being something where like he was behind something within Weapon X. You know.
I believe there was a
so if you go that route, you know, you can have him be, you know, a certain character in the background, introduce that character, you know, maybe in an Alpha Flight movie.
Yes.
You know, Department H, you know, Weapon X, keep going. Oh my gosh, it's Mr. Sinister. He's the bad guy in a movie. Have him be a multi-movie villain.
Dude, it writes itself. He's saying it, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the Weapon X program leading into Department H, leading into X-Men. You could go like 4 movies, as you say, without even introducing the X-Men. With setting, you know, Alpha Flight, Mr. Sinister, and Wolverine all be that catalyst to bring you the X-Men.
And in some spin-off, you know, you have him clone Jean Grey, make the Goblin Queen, you know, like he can run back off in the background and do some other things. Like you can go crazy. Like just don't kill off the villains. Like keep this going, you know. And
don't rush it.
Don't. Yes.
I think that Fox rushed so many things just because they thought it was.
They did. But here's the thing, though. They rushed a lot of things, and then they took too long at the same time on other things because they never got around to finally revealing Mr. Sinister besides the name Essex. But it took how many movies to do the Sentinels? Which should have been the first or second movie. The first or second. Yeah. You know, how many movies did it take to do the Sentinels? It took all of them. You know, how long did it take you to do Apocalypse? But who was your villain in X-Men 2? I mean, sure. God Loves Men Kills is cool to do. I mean, we should have just did the Sentinels. Like they were focusing on Wolverine. And speaking of God Loves Men Kills, am I saying that right? I feel like I'm not saying that right.
That's right.
God Loves Men Kills.
God Loves Men Kills. Yeah.
I was in the shop the other day and they reprinted it.
Yes, they did
that's so cool. Yeah, we picked up number 1. Isn't it? I guess number 2 is coming out soon.
Yes, number 2 just came out recently too, as well.
Oh man, I was just there. I guess I missed it. Oh no, I'll have to go get it now. So like, I mean, that's a cool one. Like it's, I want to say it's just under $100 for the original, but there's several like reprints and such of that. But that might be something, you know, trying to get, you know, if that's still relatively flying under the radar. Am I right in that value?
Yeah, I mean the graphic novel, the X-Men first print, you should be able to get for less than $100 for God Loves Men Kills. I mean, giant size X-Men 1 has just exploded in the past 18 months since.
Well, there's so many first appearances. Yeah.
I mean, I think like as I said too, each era there's like an Amazing Fantasy 15 or an Action Comics number 1 or something that just, you know, is that era's golden book. And like, you know, Action number 1, I believe obviously was, you know, the Superman, and then, you know, there's a B one with Detective 27, but then for the Silver Age, it's obviously Amazing Fantasy 15 and Fantastic Four number 1 and Hulk number 1. But then, like, for the Bronze Age, you know, or the Bronze Age, it's like Hulk 181 is like the main one for years, and now there's other ones starting to get into that same A-list level, and Giant Size X-Men 1 is easily that A-lister. It's been one for a while, but it's like now starting to explode, and that's also because of the Disney aspect of everything on it. And you're going to see like also like other ones that I'm starting to see pop up too is Werewolf by Night 32. I mean, people are paying over $1,000 for that book now too.
Is that first Moon Knight?
Yeah, first Moon Knight.
Yeah.
And I still think Iron Fist 14 is a very super key that is still attainable that Bronze Age, the Bronze Age era. I mean, the first Sabretooth, Iron Fist 14 is, you know, super, super, super affordable is sort of Wolverine storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's mostly just because it's not an X book, you know.
Yes.
So then like people, they're going through the X-Men books and like, oh, that's a key issue, that's a key issue, and he has such close ties to Wolverine's history that you're kind of like, oh yeah, you know, like he first appeared in Iron Fist, which is weird to kind of think about, especially like where he ended up anyway.
Yes. Yeah, it took 3 tries for them to get to Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
First, Iron Fist Sabretooth, and then they tried doing a Spider-Man Sabretooth a couple times, Spectacular Spider-Man, putting Sabretooth in with the Marauder, which is another, once again, Mr. Sinister creation.
Yeah.
It's just, he's connected everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's he's the one that brought Sabretooth into the Marauders as well.
Yep. All right. Anything else before we wrap this up, gentlemen?
I mean, I could do another one if you want. But if you don't want me to, I won't.
It's fun. Let's hear him. I love it.
All right. Last one before we wrap up.
Okay. So sticking with the X-Men bandwagon, you know, there's so many X-Men and X-Men, you know, the number ones, right? It's hard to get anybody, right? So it's like, well, I just want Iceman, but like, good luck with that. That's going to cost you a fortune,
first Magneto, first Jean Grey, first
right.
Angel. Like it's all X-Men.
There's
number
one big X-Men that's like, you know, really popular, but their first appearance really isn't that expensive, and it's not even an X-Men comic. It's Rogue. Her first appearance is Avengers Annual number 10, and it's only like a $50 book.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's super obtainable. And again, she, like, especially what they did in the first X-Men movie, she was kind of almost like the main character was kind of like her and Wolverine. And then the second movie like started falling off because I don't know if just they didn't like Anna Paquin. Anyway, let's just move past that. But she could be a big character. I mean, everyone loved her in the animated series. If you do her correctly, she could be such a beloved character. I know I loved her from the animated series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was awesome. And I think, especially with her and the tie-ins with Captain Marvel, which obviously you'd already have Captain Marvel in the MCU, I think that comic could be a huge comic.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
100%. I didn't realize it was that affordable still.
Oh, it's super affordable. And on top of it, it's an annual Avengers comic, too. So, I mean, there's value in it just in that.
Yeah, Michael Golden's art, and it's gorgeous as well, too. Did Chris Claremont write that issue?
Yes.
Yes. And so it's got the X-Men connection even right there. It's like an amazing, amazing thing to add into your list of things to buy for sure.
100%.
Yeah. And of course, you know, this is all speculation and our opinions, you know, like do what you want. Like we're not advising you on anything, and don't blame us if any of these are bad investments, because really anything could happen. This is just something fun to talk about. I mean, any reactions you have to what we're saying here, you know, you're doing at your own risk, you know? So like we are not in any way liable for anything you decide to do with your comic book investments. So just want to throw that in there. But, you know, if you feel so inclined to share, you know, let us know in the comments below, like what are some key issues you think are flying under the radar right now, and what do you think is kind of at its peak right now? You know, let us know on social media. But thank you all so much for taking the time to listen. You know, if you do enjoy the podcast and you're not subscribed, you know, hit that subscribe button. You know, we're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio. I don't remember if I announced this last time. Lance, maybe you can tell me. But you can now tell Alexa to play Nightcap Chat.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Which is fun. So now you can tell Google, you can ask Siri, and now you can ask Alexa to just, you know, play Nightcap Chat, and she will know. And we've tested it and it works. You know, we're all set up on there. Amazon and Audible are releasing their podcast platform. We are signed up on there, just waiting for it all to be connected, and we should be available any day now on Amazon and Audible, which is fun.
Awesome.
Ken?
That is super cool. I said too, that was awesome going. I got to try that when we get off the show. It's like that. Yes. Hey Siri, play me Nightcap Chat. Mm-hmm. That's gonna be awesome.
It will work.
Yeah, it's like Ken Brown, Drawn to Comics. You can find us in downtown Glendale, Arizona, and find us on drawntocomics.com. on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And we thank you guys so much for your support over this year. It's been, very, very uplifting to see how much love there is for the world of comics during the pandemic. We thank you all for making us part of your lives during this year and many years to come, obviously.
Yeah, now more than ever.
And you can catch me on Twitch at Tales of Lance and on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm going to be playing a lot of Avengers on Twitch, which is obviously I've been grinding a little bit. I've been trying to not grind too much because, I'm trying to play as much as I can with Blade. But
I downloaded it. I bought it. I haven't even started it. I'm going to. I'm going to.
And yeah, you can come hang out and let me, if you want to yell at me about something I said on the podcast, knock yourself out. But please be nice. Anyway.
Yes, but thank you all for listening. We appreciate your support. We love you. Be safe, and we'll catch you all next week.
Have a good week.
Thank you, guys.